Alright, the next thing to get ready, in my opinion, other people can do it differently, but I try and prep the motherboard. I'll give the motherboard a look over, see where everything is. I know where my hard drives are going to go in. Power adapters, so there's one over here, hiding. Where can I hook up case fans to this thing? And there's several on here. There's one down here. I got one for the CPU up here. And there's a couple more on here there's one more. I can actually hook up like 3 case fans to this thing, and away it goes. Which is actually kind of nice considering my old one I had one, and the CPU. So, now the thing is you have to be aware of for motherboards is that they do not sit on this back case. Like, they do not touch flat. There's these little screws here, and they're a mounting screw, and they'll stick in there. I've already got it prepped. You can see them in here. Now what I did is I took my motherboard, literally picked it up, kind of put it over just to see where the holes were, because there's a whole bunch of them. There's one here, there's another one up here, and one over there, and then there's more throughout. So then I just mounted them all in, made sure I had enough. What happens if you don't have enough? Does it happen? Yes, it does. Some cases do not come with this many screws. Some come with very limited screws. So then you have to think about where does your motherboard need the most support. What's going to be pushed in and out a lot. Usually this whole side should be supported because that's where everything plugs in, and you don't want that moving around. How often will you put in the video card or memory and look at it that way, or how many slots? So you might have to put support here and here because you're going to be changing video cards more often than not. So you have to think of those things. In my case, I got plenty. If I really needed to, I could have scrounged from my old computer and done that. The other thing is this back plate. I already put it in. That's for all down here. You can put that in the wrong way, so make sure you put it in the right way. In my case, for this motherboard, this was the old CPU tie down. I've already done a little bit of prep work. These are the new ones, and there's a whole new back plate on here. Now I had to read because that back plate can go on 2 different ways. One is for AMD, one's for Intel. So then what will happen is I will pop this open and then put in the CPU. It can only go in one way. I'll discuss that later. And then snap it down. I'll put cooler on there, and then I'll get the big cooler on here. The other thing I'll be putting in is, of course, is RAM, which these just pop open, and once you push in the memory, it goes click and you're done. I would probably put the memory in first before putting the cooler on, just to make sure that, because if this goes on and it's blocking the way the memory goes and it's sitting over top of it, which will be fine, but it's really hard to put memory in afterwards, so it's got to go in first. It's just little things you need to think about. Right, so for now, enough about that, and we'll move on to other things once I start putting them on.